Um, this is a video again about MBTI. This time I've been thinking about the way that I've realised that ENFJs have a funny phenomenon where they don't bottle up their feelings, they bottle up their thoughts instead. And I'll try to explain what I mean by that in this video. Basically, what I've realised is that because ENFJ's main mode of communicating is through their feelings, they don't actually internally necessarily really think using their feelings. They think using their thoughts, because the two introverted functions that we have are introverted intuition and introverted thinking. So our internal engine is actually a thinking engine, even though we compare it with how we feel about the thing, which is why obviously ENFJs that don't have a very good feeling function, have a very well developed feeling function, have trouble making decisions. But because our internal functions are actually more of a thinking function, we actually bottle our feelings when things aren't good for us. So this kind of relates to my original video as well, because I was saying how we tend to move back towards our extroverted feeling when we feel misunderstood. So for example, you finally get to the point where you can trust the other party. So you really get invested in somebody, you really like them, you get to a really good point with them, and you feel like you actually understand them, because you've asked a lot of relevant questions and they've given relevant answers that you internalize and bring this person into your kind of, into your inner circle. And at that point you feel like you can trust them, so you begin to share with them more than you probably would anybody else, or anybody else that you kind of have in your social circle, because you begin to relax, so you share your inner intuition and your inner thoughts. But what happens is, if we actually share a thought, and the other person doesn't like it, they reject that thought, we've spent quite a long time thinking that thing up, because we've actually had our thoughts informed by our intuitions, and they've been going in a loop inside us, which is, because they're internal functions, they're introverted functions. So when they're rejected, we tend to then try to explain this phenomenon, this thing that we've been thinking of, and we get quite annoyed when we're misunderstood, because this thing is like, it's not something we've come up with overnight. Okay, our introverted intuition is quite strong, and so is our introverted thinking if we've spent quite a long time alone. So we've thought about these things for a long time, and just like I'm doing this video, this video is something that I've thought about, and the ideas in it are quite well rounded. So when we share the thought, if it's rejected, we feel really stupid. So, and we especially hate being misunderstood, because our reason for being is to be understood well and to make other people feel good. So if we're not making other people feel good and we're not understood well, we feel bad about it. So we try to re-explain the thing if we're misunderstood in the first place. And then if we carry on being misunderstood, then we start to move straight back to our extroverted feeling. And the consequence of this is not that we bottle up our feelings, because if we're actually upset, we show our feelings, and if we're really happy, we show our feelings, though our main extroverted feeling is trying to make other people feel happy. So we generally tend to internalize negative emotions. But if our thoughts are rejected, we actually bottle up our thoughts. And that sounds a bit weird, because I know that most people talk about bottled up feelings, but I think we bottle up our thoughts. And the reason I think we bottle up our thoughts is because if we realise that the person that we're talking to is not happy with our thought processes, instead of going there again and trying to explain it all again and get them to agree to the thing that they don't agree with, and that are not possibly annoyed with too, we just think, well, we'll never share that again. This is a subject we can't go to. This is a subject we can't actually broach with the particular subject, the particular person we're talking to. So, that being the case, we'll actually avoid that subject completely. And the problem with that is that over time, you have these bottled up thoughts. You may have thoughts and opinions on all these different things, and as you realise more and more that they're annoying maybe a partner or a person that you like and that you talk to, the more you bottle up your thoughts, the more likely it is that you will end up with nothing to talk about, because basically thoughts on all kinds of different things may offend all kinds of different people, and when you start to offend people and you push them, because you realise that you're offending them, you push them back out again because you realise you can't trust them with your thoughts. You bottle all your thoughts up, all the ones that offend them, and you end up with no subjects to talk about, because the other person is so the other person may be offended by your thoughts, and it's not their fault, because fair enough, people are allowed to be offended. Fair enough, people are allowed to have their feelings hurt if you said something to hurt them, but you just end up with nothing to talk about. If no subject is broachable, you just bottle up all your thoughts. So you may have outbursts of being really sad. You may have outbursts of being really happy, and your main outburst will be in an attempt to make the person that you're talking to, your partner or your friends or whatever, to be happy. But if it's a thought that you've brought up and the person isn't happy about it, you just won't share it again, because you don't want to make people unhappy. So I just thought about that today, and I was thinking how you bottle up thoughts as an ENFJ, which is quite an unusual thought, but I thought it made sense. So see what you think of that. I think I have more thoughts on healthy relationships between ENFJs and INFPs, and actually how they get unhealthy too, possibly. So I'm gonna probably do another video about that another time, but I think this is enough for this one. So I shall speak to you again soon, and let me know what you think. Cheers. Bye.